Welcome back to the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor. I'm Doug Skene. To my right is Ron Simpkins. To my left, great Phil Brabbs, and the Wolverine.com presents Inside the Huddle. So guys, let's talk about it. I'd like to first and foremost say that I officially apologize for letting the team down. I will never do that again. I should have known better than to call for 50-point victories. I read that Schofield said, yeah, guys were talking about how we should beat them by 50, and we kind of read into that, and I thought, man, was he talking about me? I hope he wasn't. I hope he didn't watch this show.
He's probably YouTube and watching this show.
Oh man! But seriously, guys, boy, that was ugly. That was the opposite of what I was expecting.
As I rubbed the egg off my face when you predicted 40-point victories, but when you sit down and you think about it, we're just like, your fans. We anticipate after a big game like Notre Dame that they're going to come back and we're going to dominate. Just the normal reaction was that they're going to dominate.
That's what we all thought.
Yeah.
Phil, did you break your television? Were you at the game? I was not at the game. I
was
it on
close
TV,
as I could get to the game.
I had my DVR, replay. Did I really just see that replay?
And my house is 3 blocks from the big house. So literally that last play of the game, I can hear the fans' reaction before I see it on TV. I'm about to strangle the TV. I heard a cheer, and I'm like, that has to be a good thing. But yeah, man, in the stadium was just silent. I mean, usually when we're at our house on the porch and we don't go to the games, you hear the fans.
Yeah.
I didn't hear much of anything on Saturday.
It was that bad.
It was bad.
It was done. I mean, when they showed on television, they showed the stands, people sitting there almost with their mouths open, just like, I can't believe this is happening.
I can't believe this. And we've seen that look before.
Yes, we have.
Unfortunately. And we shared about it. We talked a little bit before we came on the air. It's a bad day for me when my 9-year-old is telling me, Dad, yelling at the TV doesn't change the outcome. You're not playing anymore. You can't control it. It's all in perspective, I guess, but man, let's talk a little specifics. The offensive line could not get a push. They're bumping off the linebackers, and the pass protection was soft, and there's pressure, and it was just a mess offensively. And then all of a sudden, boom, we creased him for 40 yards.
Yeah, and that's the bad. I think what really disappointed everybody that we were occasionally getting those kind of runs in there, and then we get a penalty and they bring it right back. Yeah. So any momentum we gain, we lose almost instantly because of a penalty, something that we did, a holding infraction or something like that.
I think it's tough too. I mean, this is a game I was hoping to see some of those question marks. Who's going to step up as a running back? I still think I think Fitz played well, but there was so much pressure up front that I don't feel like he got to prove himself. So there's this, after game 3, there's still a big question mark. Who's going to be our running back? Can we get it on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, and hand the ball off?
You talked about it. You said he got hit sometime in the backfield.
3 yards, 3 yards. The handoff tackle. You're like,
you can't answer that question until the answers are finalized up front.
That's your job, right?
Yeah,
that's your job. Figure that one out.
My daughter says I don't play anymore. But until those guys up front solidify things and take care of business, it's hard to say who the best back's going to be.
Right.
We don't want a Barry Sanders type, and what I mean by that is we don't want a guy who has to make it up with a guy dodging him 3 yards in the backfield. We don't want that kind of running game. We'd like to have a nice, consistent 4 to 6 at a chunk. I'll take that all day long, but I thought, hey, it's Akron. We should be able to move this front if we held our own against Notre Dame. And two NFL defensive linemen, we should be pretty doggone good against Akron. But no, it was a hot mess.
Yep.
But I will say they're a well-coached team, and Bowden, I don't think he's afraid of anybody. Big Ten, SEC, anybody.
Right.
But they came in with a game plan that they were not going to be intimidated by Michigan, and that they were just going to play their game, which they did. And they took it to us, and then we didn't react well to it.
No, there was clearly somebody was getting punched in the mouth early in that game, and it turned into a fight that we never expected. And the way that we responded, it was almost like, again, and we're not on the sidelines, and it's hard to say, but like, okay, these guys too relaxed. What's going on out here? But Akron kept coming and coming, and they were playing at a different speed than we were.
Yep. Yeah, and Gardner had a pretty good weekend against Notre Dame, and he had the horrible play in the back of the end zone. And you're mentioning we had 4 turnovers. And what? 4. And how many were Gardner? 3?
There were 3 picks. There were not
3 picks.
Yep. And
not all the time, but all of them were the quarterback.
Yeah, it's
bunches one time. Like, you know, I understand. You know you're gonna get hit. Make the catch.
yeah. That's the old cliche.
Yeah, make the catch.
You're gonna get drilled, so you might as well catch it anyway.
Yeah.
So you know, on a couple of them they were tip balls, but still, he threw some bad balls.
Yeah, to have those mental errors in this game, I don't know. I just think it's kind of unacceptable.
It was a mess, and it was not a good day. But the whole football week was just kind of frustrating. But I'm feeling better because I just had a cheeseburger here at the Arena Sports Bar with French fries. What'd you have?
Buffalo chicken sandwich.
That was good, right?
Yes, it was.
Phil, you had something.
I had the more vegetarian option of veggies with cheese, delicious
Nice job.
pretzel
Nice
roll.
job. Excellent.
Yep.
Well, the food is good here at the arena, and we'll be right back with Inside the Huddle with more. Welcome back to Inside the Huddle here at the Arena Sports Bar in Ann Arbor, brought to you by thewolverine.com. Guys, on thewolverine.com, subscribers wrote in and made comments about the top concerns, if you will. And I think we're going to share some of these same concerns. And so let's tackle these things one at a time. We'll briefly cover them from our point of view and what we kind of see. Number one, and this one's near and dear to my heart, offensive line push. And we talked about it in the Central game. You know what? We did okay there, and I saw some good things in there. The Notre Dame game, I think we could all agree we did not control that line of scrimmage. We held our own at times. And then in this game was a mess. The offensive line push, I'm going to tell you, just because I played that position, you guys know, and anybody that knows the game of football, if you can't control the line of scrimmage, you can't control the pace of the game, you can't control the clock, you can't control the pressure on your QB. Everything is out of your control, and you're making it up to make do for your lack of control. It's a problem.
Yeah, I was hoping that we'd have a stout offensive line so we could really test our running backs, take pressure off for Devin to have to throw the ball. I was hoping this year was the year we kind of get back to running the football, lead with the run, follow up with the pass. But if they can't stay stout up front and push the D-line off the ball, we're going to have to revert to passing. And I don't think that's where we want to go this season.
Well, the thing is with Michigan football is if you can't run the ball, then eventually you're not going to be able to throw the ball. The team is out have to take away the run.
That's what happened last year.
Play zone and take everything that you want to do away from it. So I think it goes back again to what we talked about before, execution and being. The one thing we know about being football players is that when you're confident and you know what you're supposed to do, you're aggressive. When you're not aggressive most of the time, that means that you're not quite sure what you're supposed to do. And I think that's what's really going on with our
That's a great point, Ron. That's a great point. And that's not unusual for a young offensive lineman. What goes through a young offensive lineman's head, because I was there, and you played against guys, and we know how this goes. Young offensive linemen are thinking snap count, assignment, what are my steps, and all these things. Veteran offensive linemen, all of those things are in the back of their head, and they're just thinking, how much can I impose my will on this guy? Because the steps and the technique is all just second nature. Well, that can be developed still, and I think we read some of the coaches' comments this week that if this doesn't improve, changes will be made. The next guy will get in there and get it done. And
I expect it too.
Yeah, someone's got to do it. If it ain't the guys that are in there now, someone's going to have to go in there and do it. Secondly, from the Wolverine.com, the subscribers, and this is just as important, the lack of a pass rush. In 3 football games, we have a total of 5 sacks. One of those sacks coming from a defensive lineman. Now, again, football is a simple game, right, guys?
Yes, it is.
You control the line, you control the game. Our defensive line so far has been spotty and having a really difficult time getting home without bringing blitzes. Ron, how do you fix that?
Bring Ryan back as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
but I'm telling you, a player like him is an impact player.
He's a leader.
He makes everybody better. Yeah. You know, we talk about not having sacks by the defensive lineman. If you got a linebacker who could put pressure on a quarterback, then now the defensive line knows that they have to run, that when they attack the line of scrimmage, I got to really do something special to get there before he gets there. And it just makes our defense better. And we're lacking that impact player in the front seven right now. Guys are kind of real basic. We're doing all of the great stunts that they do in the pros and the end tackle games and those kind of things. And then the only thing now, though, is when we want to blitz, we bring both linebackers to the line of scrimmage, and then you teeter back and forth between who's going to blitz, and then you blitz or don't blitz. Yeah. I mean, after a while, everybody picks up on that.
Well,
You listening up.
there's limitations to doing that.
Right.
And the reason I think Madison does that is to cause that offensive line to hesitate, and it can be effective, but you can't make a living on it. That's the problem. That's the point you just made.
I think you can make a living on it. I think a team like Akron, Michigan should have went everything you had in your blitz arsenal that you wanted to work on. You should have ran everything. You should have played man-to-man on the corners and put pressure on them. Make the quarterback be a great player. Don't play zone and sit back and let them sell into the zone, and then we're going to hit them and knock them off the football. Because all you do is give them confidence.
Yeah.
And that's what we broke that game.
I'm no defensive coordinator, maybe a special teams coach at best, but the strategy there just seemed to be lack of creativity. And I know it's Akron, and I was just wondering, are they saving stuff? Because it just seemed like the same set, and it wasn't until the last play, like I mentioned before the last play, they put a bunch of guys on the line of scrimmage. I'm like, who's going to cover the receivers? I felt like everyone was on the line of scrimmage, blitzing. Some guys dropped back, some came for the ball. The quarterback didn't know what to do. He kind of just threw it away. He thought he got hammered. That's what I wanted to see all game, not the last play of the game.
Well, that's what we should be doing on defense.
Yeah.
And you got corners that can't do it, and you like you say, find somebody else on the sideline that can do it. They play man-to-man defense. Because you have to, at some point in the game, be able to pressure people when you want to, not when they want you to.
Well, guys, I look at this from an offensive line's perspective. In the first game, I saw a couple of offensive linemen from Central that I thought, these guys are decent. I'm going to hold my concerns just at. Then I watched the Notre Dame offensive line pass block, and I said, these guys are pretty good pass blocking offensive linemen. And Notre Dame was keeping it back in, so they were max protected. And I thought, okay, I'm looking at the Akron offensive line, and I'm like, all right, guys, no. You're not getting a free pass anymore. This is the Akron offensive line. They're not that good. We should be able to get home. But that's a concern that has to be fixed. And sooner or later, and Madison said, this is on me, and Brady coaches that D-line too. I'm sure they're taking it personal. They all do. They're very competitive guys, and that's a good thing. It's got to be fixed, or it's going to be trouble down the road. The third thing on the list from the subscribers from Wolverine.com, QB decision-making. Phil, we talked about the oopsie-doopsie against Notre Dame, and is Devin too comfortable? Does he feel too comfortable when we watch him play? That he can just make it up, when things don't go well, he just sort of, I'll make it up somehow, some way, and kind of casually throw it out there. Did I detect a small measure of almost too casualness out there? That's not a word. Too relaxed?
Casualness.
Casualness.
Yeah. Casualness. I think he's still young. I think he's trying to do a little too much, and when we're not able to run the ball, he's kind of forced situations we got to throw the ball. But he can't perform like that. I mean, he had the game last week against 2 weeks against Notre Dame. He had the one bad play, but for the most part, had a great game.
Yes.
I was expecting him just to rise to the occasion and just tear up Akron. So to have those type of mistakes against Akron, it worries me a little bit. And it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back against UConn before we hit the Big Ten schedule.
I'll tell you the real problem is he has nobody playing behind him with the pressure. That's a whole different thing in relationship to being a starter and knowing that the guy behind you can't play the way you play, can't do the things that you can do. So you're more relaxed.
It's a great point, Ron. And you hate to say that about a kid or any player that you're taking your position for granted, but there's a lot of truth to that. We've been through it, and we mentioned it earlier. I mentioned on that offensive line, those years of those great offensive lines, the reason they were so good, and I can only speak for the time I was here, I knew if I didn't go out and perform, my job was going to be replaced like that. Someone else is going to step in there. There's a lot of truth to that.
The truth is, you're almost afraid he can be hurt and not play.
Oh.
The guy behind you, when he gets in there and he shows what he can do, he might not get back on the field.
And there's no disrespect to the freshman Morris, who we think is going to be a good player, but what? Is he going to be a starter? I don't think anybody wants to draw it up that way.
They don't want him to be in the game right now. They want to develop, learn the offense, learn the plays, go through the routine of practice and that kind of thing, but it's just not there right now.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The decision-making and taking care of the football, that's priority number one for any quarterback. It's got to get better. The fourth thing on our list, guys, is soft coverage, secondary coverage. Did Phil or Ron? I'm going both ways here. Ron, is a linebacker and you're dropping back and playing in the coverages. I'm not an expert on secondary play, but at times it felt like, all right, these guys just get flat out burned.
We when we play zone, we play such soft zones that when we make contact, the guy's caught the ball, he can make a decision, turn and run. Our linebackers are, the one I remember in particular was when he split the linebackers and ran into a touchdown. That's never happened. There's no way. I mean, just, that's why I said, a team like Akron-Michigan should run every blitz coverage they thought they wanted to practice. Put corners out there, rotate corners every other play, and just go after a team like that. You don't sit back and give a team confidence. What you do is give them opportunity to think, you know, maybe we can win this game. Maybe we can be in this game.
Well, I think aside, you know, if you go back, reverting back to the point we had earlier, take away the turnovers, it's a different game. Statistically, that's always the case. But at times, you know, like the whole team, just collectively, it looked like that secondary was out to pasture as well. I don't think there was a position group on the field that could say, boy, we played great today.
They really got, sometimes they just got beat. I'll be honest with you. Guys made great catches, and these guys we didn't cover with.
Yeah.
We didn't make the play. We didn't make a great play when they made great plays.
Well, and the secondary always suffers when there is no
pressure.
pass rush. Last point, and Phil, we talked about this before we came on the air as well, the punt.
Most important part of the game.
Is struggling a little bit. The punt is not going well.
He is struggling, and I think he, unlike Gardner not having pressure, I think Kenny Allen. I said he was my player in week 1. Spath.
He did. He said it.
I said number
Kenny
91.
Kenny Allen, Fenton High School.
I'm not from Fenton, you know, but I just think that's critical. And, you know, Notre Dame, Wiley hit a bad punt, followed off by a bad kickoff. Those are really critical plays in the game. And when we get in the Big Ten schedule, it's not good. These games are going to be tight. We're going to need to be able to – it's going to be about field position, take care of the football. And they need a punter in there who's confident. And Wiley's just not confident right now. And I think it's an opportunity for Allen to get a chance. I saw a quote from Hoke, and they asked why didn't they give Kenny Allen a chance in the last game. And, you know, I think this says a lot about Hoke. He said, if I would have put Kenny in there, I would just killed Wiley's psyche, potentially for the rest of the season. And I think that's the difference between maybe the old coach who killed Brandon Gibbons by yanking him, putting him back in, yanking him, and not really giving him a fair shot. So I think UConn's a great opportunity for my boy Kenny to get a chance.
So Ron, what he's saying is kickers are mental chandeliers. The kickers.
We're like golfers, man. We're like golfers.
The guy behind him, though, he would have had a chance to play. I'm telling you. He would have yanked him. I'm telling you.
Well, something's got to give, and then the bigger question we'll get to in our next segment, but we'll talk about whether this was just a kind of a big laying of an egg or whether there are bigger problems. We'll get back to that in a minute from the Arena Sports Bar here in Ann Arbor, brought to you by thewolverine.com. Welcome back to the Arena Sports Bar on a Wednesday night, home of the $1.99 hamburger and French fries with the purchase of any beverage, guys. Did you know that? I was going to have the $1.99 deal, but I upgraded.
To 3 of them?
I went. Nice job, guys. Nice job.
You're looking out. You're looking out.
Honest to you.
No, that was a good one. I like that. You know, the fat jokes are always welcome.
I didn't say you're fat.
Always welcome. You know, Everett, to this day, 20 years later, Everett and I, we still call each other with the fat jokes. Hey, zoom in. This is the blimp, right? We still do that stuff. Anyway, guys, coming out of, and we mentioned it in the last segment, the question now that I ask myself about my favorite team on the face of the earth, was the Akron game just a collective laying of the big egg? Or do we have legitimate concerns? And I, as a fan and as a follower and a devoted supporter of this program, I'm not ready to make a decision. I'm going to wait and see what happens Saturday night. But the question really transitions into, have expectations changed? Have my expectations changed? Have yours, Ron?
Well, you know, I predicted undefeated season. But I really don't. I've always thought this team was going to grow and get better. I never thought that the Notre Dame game was an end product. And that was, we were good as we were going to get. That was the end of it. I talked about it earlier with Mike, and every team that's won a national championship has had one of these kind of games.
Yes.
Every team.
Well, part of growing and getting better maybe is going through this.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
Well, you know what? It makes you as a player more on edge. It makes you realize that you can lose games. Even though you put the Michigan helmet on, you feel invincible or whatever. There is a chance that you can still lose a game.
Yeah. Phil, I think, and you just mentioned it. the Alabama teams that have rattled off all these undefeated seasons, or not all of them, but they've had this kind of game too. They've played some of those no-name teams early in the season that they struggled with. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Ohio State in 2002, which was my fourth year. They had some close games. They had a close game against the MAC team. They almost lost to Purdue. Yep. Krenzel had to make a big pass at the end, and they squeaked it out against us.
Ohio State team that was undefeated. They had to come back and win in overtime against Purdue at home.
Yep.
So, and fans kind of forget that.
Yeah.
And maybe, hopefully, we will too about this team.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
I think they laid an egg. I mean, when you look at every position, like we said, there was no position who it just didn't seem to have that emotional charge. It seemed like, and so I think it was collectively as a team, we laid an egg, and I'm hopeful that the coaching staff will get that corrected. I think they'll come out on fire.
Okay,
I'm hoping that they come out on fire.
I feel better now that we can agree that this is just an anomaly, one-time laying of the egg that's out of our system.
Yep.
Let's move on.
And I still feel that we're a team that needs to get better every week.
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we got a lot of room to grow, like you said, as far as mistakes and not getting pressure, those kind of things. But all these things we talked about are things that are corrected. You know, with practice and, all the guys coming back, the pressure being put on these guys to play, the minutes on the field. I think these are the kind of things that really help the team more so than beating them up in the press or, saying what you can't do and those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, and the sun came up the next day.
Yes, it did.
And here we are, and we're talking about the next game. Saturday night at UConn, and it'll be the first road trip for this team. I always look to see how a team responds and starts on that first road game. And granted, it won't be the biggest of stadiums, and expectations are low for this team. Again, it's only UConn, and we know how that goes. So my expectations for Saturday night, I really, and I'm not just saying it because I love this team, I expect them to come out and punch UConn in the mouth and knock them out.
That sounds like last week. But no, I agree. And even more so, I think this week, just because of the fact that, your pride's on the line right now. And I think these guys are playing on pure pride right now as opposed to being rated number 12 or number 17 or whatever. It's about now going out and proving yourself as a football player and dominating the team that you should dominate. It would be different if you're playing the team that were, rated in the top 10, in the top 10 again, but you're playing against a team that you should go out and dominate. And if you don't, now the coach really has some decisions to make out.
He said dominate. He said dominate 3 times. It's my word, dominate. I think we need to dominate, and I think I think last week, I mean, that stadium was probably, I heard it was like only 85% full.
Well, the students, clearly the students were sleeping in there.
And so, and if we would have blown them out, UConn would be the same way. No one out playing UConn, no big deal. But this is a big deal. This team needs to show what they're made out of, and I think the coaching staff, I think they said they put pads on Sunday.
Yeah, they practiced.
And so this is, they made it. The coaches made a point that we gotta get some toughness into this program, and I think we'll find out that toughness on Saturday. But I'm with you guys. I mean, I think, man, if they don't punch them in the face this game, we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start talking about some of these question marks.
Then you're gonna have the lineup changes are gonna come. You're gonna see different. And you know what? As a lineman, I don't want to see the musical chairs in that line. You need guys to gel together to play together. So I am expecting all those guys that struggled last week to really up their game. I mean, their jobs are on the line.
And I think they know that. And I think they'll come out. I'm predicting again, okay? We didn't predict well last week, but I'm thinking that, there's just so much pressure on them right now that, that making a mistake thing is out the window now. And now it's just about being aggressive and going after. And I think they're going to simplify a lot of things so that they can do that. Offense and defense.
Well, and we'll see who does the punting on Saturday.
91. He'll be out there.
Number 91.
Yeah, I'll call Hoke after this now. Text Hoke. We'll see.
Well,
let's
hope that the players don't watch and read all their press clippings about how this is just UConn.
Right. I don't think so.
Because some of them read about Akron. It was just
Akron. No.
So we don't expect the same thing. We'll be back 1 week from now to talk about it here at the arena. And until then, go Blue.
Go Blue.